So, hi friends, I am Dr. Santaji Pawar, working as an assistant professor, Sweris College of Engineering, Pandharpur. So, today we discuss on the magnetic effect of a current. So, first we discuss what is meant by the magnetic effect of a current. An electric current, that is the flow of the electric charge, produces the magnetic effect in the space around the conductor called the strength or the magnetic field, or simply we can say the magnetic field. So, as per the experiment, when the current was allowed to flow through a wire placed parallel to the axis of the magnetic needle kept directly below the wire, the needle was found to deflect from its normal position. Okay, in the second experiment, when the current was reversed through the wire, the needle was found to deflect in the opposite direction to the earlier case. So this is the right hand thumb rule or the curl rule. As per this right hand thumb rule, if a current carrying conductor is imagined to be held in the right hand such that the thumb points in the direction of the current, then the tips of the fingers increasing the conductor will give the direction of the magnetic lines of the force. So, as per the right hand thumb rule, suppose this is a conducting wire. If we arrange, जर का आपण ती कंडक्टिंग वायर या प्रकारे राईट हँड मध्ये जर पकडली तर आपला जो थंब आहे तो थंब करंटची डायरेक्शन इंडिकेट करतो आणि या कंडक्टिंग वायर भोवती ज्या आपल्या या फिंगर्स ज्या कर्वड मध्ये आहेत त्या फिंगर्स त्या मॅग्नेटिक फील्डची डायरेक्शन इंडिकेट करते. सो दिस इज द राईट हँड थंब रूल. So now we discuss about the what is mean by the Biot-Savart law. Biot-Savart law आपल्याला काय सांगतो? As per the Biot-Savart law, consider a one conducting wire. Okay, on the region or in the field of the if we flow the current through the conducting wire, then around the conducting wire there is the magnetic field. Okay, consider one point P and another point P dash. Okay, on point P, what is the magnetic field or the what is the magnitude of magnetic field at point P, or we find the value of magnitude of magnetic field at point P dash. या फिगर मध्ये जर आपण बघितलं तर इथे एक वायर आहे, कंडक्टिंग वायर. या कंडक्टिंग वायर मधून जेव्हा आपण करंट फ्लो करत असतो तेव्हा या वायरच्या भोवती आपल्याला मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड भेटते ऍज पर द राईट हँड थंब रूल नुसार. आपण काय कन्सिडर करतोय, ज्या एरियामध्ये आपले मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड आहे त्या एरियामधले दोन पॉइंट्स आपण कन्सिडर करतो. कन्सिडर अ पॉइंट पी डॅश अँड द सेकंड पॉइंट पी. तर या पॉइंट पी वरती मॅग्नेटिक फील्डची मॅग्निट्यूड किती असेल हे आपल्याला फाइंड आउट करायचं. सो as per the statement, so what is the statement for the Biot-Savart law? The statement of the Biot-Savart law is the strength of magnetic field dB due to the small current element dl carrying a current I at a point P distance r from the element is directly proportional to current I, again directly proportional to the dl, and again directly proportional to the sine theta, and inversely proportional to the square of the distance r square, where theta is the angle between dl and the r. जेव्हा या वायर मधून करंट फ्लो होतो तेव्हा या वायरच्या भोवती जेव्हा मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड तयार होते ती मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड चार टर्मला तुमची डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल असते, सॉरी तीन टर्मला डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल असते आणि एका टर्मला इनव्हर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल असते. मग त्या तीन टर्म कोणत्या कोणत्या डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनलच्या? पहिले आहे तुमची करंट आय, दुसरा आहे इलेमेंट कन्सिडर केलेला डीएल आणि तिसरा आहे इथं जो तयार झालेला आहे अँगल थिटा आणि इनव्हर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल आहे तो हे डिस्टन्स पी पासून या एलिमेंट पर्यंतचे जे डिस्टन्स आहे आर याला इनव्हर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल. सो दिस इज द स्टेटमेंट ऑफ द बायोट-सॉवर्थ लॉ. So if we write this statement in the mathematically, then we can write your magnetic field dB is directly proportional to current I. Also your magnetic field directly proportional to the element dl. Also your magnetic field directly proportional to the sin theta angle between the wire and the your p point, and last inversely proportional to the square the distance between the dl to the point p. So dB is inversely proportional to the 1 divided by r square. If we combine all the four quantities, then what we get? We get dB is directly proportional to I dl sin theta divided by r square. But if we write this equation, dB is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi into I dl sin theta divided by r square. In this equation, mu naught divided by 4 pi is the constant quantity or the k constant k. So again, if we go to the right, the Biot-Savart law in the vector form, then how we can write the Biot-Savart law in the vector form? So if we go to the right, the Biot-Savart law in the vector form, then we can write dB bar is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi into I dl bar into r cap divided by r square. So dB bar is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi into I dl bar into r bar divided by r cube. So this is the Biot-Savart law in the vector form. So the value of mu naught here in this equation, value of mu naught is 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7 Tesla meter per ampere or Weber per meter per ampere. So in this equation, the direction of dB bar is same as that of direction of dl bar into r bar, which can be determined by right hand screw rule. So it is emerging at point P dash and entering at point P into the plane of the diagram. So in the last slide already we have observed in the figure the emerging point P dash and the entering point P. So the current element is a vector quantity, that is the dl is the current element vector quantity whose magnitude is the vector product of current and the length of small element having the direction of the flow of the current, that is the I into dl bar. So now we discuss the magnetic field due to the straight wire carrying current I. So here we consider one long straight wire. In this wire there is the flow of current I. We consider a point P, some distance r bar. Again we consider a one element dl bar. Okay, the straight distance a where angle is the 90 degree. Okay, so angle between the current element and point P, radius vector, then this is the angle theta. So here again there is the two angles phi 1 and the phi 2. So this is the phi 2. Okay, now we can find out the magnetic field at point P. So we can write first the equation of Biot-Savart law. Okay, according to the Biot-Savart law, we can write dB is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi into I dl sin theta divided by r square. So now in this figure we can find out the magnetic field at point P. या point P वरती magnetic field किती असणार आहे, कशामुळे तर इथे एक आपल्याला स्ट्रेट करंट कॅरिंग वायर आहे, स्ट्रेट आय मध्ये आहे, त्याच्यातून करंट फ्लो होतोय. जेव्हा आपण या वायर मधून करंट फ्लो करेल तेव्हा याच्या भोवती मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड तयार होते. मग काही पर्टिक्युलर डिस्टन्स वरती जर आपण पॉइंट पी कन्सिडर केला तर एका पॉइंट वरती तुमची मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड किती असणार आहे. सो राईट डाउन द बायोट-सॉवर्थ लॉ इक्वेशन. सो dB इज इक्वल टू mu naught divided by 4 pi into I dl sin theta divided by r square. But we know the sin theta is equal to A divided by R is equal to cos phi, or R is equal to A divided by cos phi. So tan phi is equal to I divided by A, or I is equal to A tan phi. That is, so dl is equal to A sec square phi into d phi. So substituting for R and dl in the dB, now we can write the Biot-Savart law equation. If we put R and dl in the dB form, so mu naught divided by 4 pi into I cos phi d phi divided by A. A is the distance between the wire and the point P. पॉइंट P आणि वायरच्या मधलं जे डिस्टन्स आहे ते तुमचं डिस्टन्स A एवढा आहे. So now the magnetic field due to whole conductor is obtained by integrating with the limit. Integrating with the limit. So minus phi 1 to phi 2. So phi 1 is taken negative since it is a anti-clockwise. Since it is the anti-clockwise. So B is equal to integration dB is equal to minus phi 1 to phi 2 mu naught I cos phi d phi divided by 4 pi into A. So magnetic field B is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi into I sin phi 1 plus sin phi 2 divided by A. So if the straight wire is infinitely long, then we can write phi 1 is equal to phi 2 is equal to pi by 2. So the modified equation for this, so B is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi into twice L divided by A. Not twice L, twice I divided by A. Or B is equal to mu naught divided by 2 pi into I divided by A. So direction of B bar is the same as that of direction of dl bar into r bar, which can be determined by right hand screw rule. So it is a perpendicular to the plane of the diagram and the entering into the plane at P. Plane at P. So see here in this figure, A on the y-axis, B magnetic field, so distance. Okay, so here there is the magnetic field lines. These are the magnetic field lines. So if this is the conducting wire, if your current flows from the downward direction to the upward direction, then around this conducting wire there is the magnetic field. There is the magnetic field. So in the another figure, if we see, the direction of the magnetic lines is in the opposite direction. If your current is in the downward direction, so in the first figure your magnetic lines are is in this direction. But in the other case, in the second case, if we observe, your magnetic lines in the in the clockwise direction, and in the first case here there is the anti-clockwise direction. So now we discuss when, if we take or we go to the magnetic field to find the magnetic field due to the circular loop carrying a current. जर का एक आपण वायरचा सर्क्युलर लूप तयार केला, तर त्या लूप मध्ये वेगवेगळ्या पॉइंट वरती तुमची मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड किती असेल. सो फर्स्ट वी गो टू द आवर कन्सिडरिंग पॉइंट ॲट द ॲक्सियल लाईन. आपण जो पॉइंट कन्सिडर करणार आहे तो आपला पॉइंट एका ॲक्सियल लाईन वरती असेल आणि त्या पॉइंट वरती आपली मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड किती असेल हे आपण फाइंड आउट करणार आहे. सपोज दिस इज द वन सर्क्युलर क्लोज्ड लूप, करंट कॅरिंग लूप, and this is the center. Or okay, the axis, this is the axial line. Okay, considering point P, the distance between the origin O to the point P is the x distance. So this is the R 90 degree, considering element, current element xy, or magnetic field perpendicular to this dl means here there is the 90 degree. On the other side same condition, means if we consider one side current element, then definitely on the opposite side there is the also element, but the direction is the opposite direction. So the plane of the coil is considered perpendicular to the plane of the diagram such that the direction of magnetic field can be visualized on the plane of the diagram. on the plane of the diagram. Okay, see, okay, if we see the figure, then at C and D there is the current elements, and these current elements are xy is the first current element, and the x dash and y dash is the second current element, are considered such that current at C emerges out and at D enters into the plane of the diagram, so for this, if we write the equation, so dB is equal to mu naught, magnetic field is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi into I dl sin theta divided by r square. So or magnetic field is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi I dl divided by r square. So this is this equation according to the Biot-Savart law equation. So the angle theta between dl and the r bar is 90 degree because the radius of the loop is very small, and since sin 90 is equal to 1, the semi-vertical angle made by r bar to the loop is phi, and the angle between r bar and db bar is 90 degree. So therefore the angle between vertical axis and db bar is also the phi. So db bar is resolved into components. First one is the db cos phi, and the second one is the db sin phi. So due to the diametrically opposite current elements cos phi, components are always opposite to each other, and hence they cancel out each other. So sin phi components due to the all current elements dl bar gets added up along the same direction, that is in the direction away from the loop. So B is equal to integration dB sin theta is equal to integration mu naught divided by 4 pi into I dl sin theta divided by r square, or B is equal to mu naught into I into 2 pi a into a. So why here there is the, this is the circumference of the circle, that is the 2 pi a. A is the radius of that circle into 2 pi a is the circumference of the circle. So B is equal to mu naught I into 2 pi a into a divided by 4 pi into a square plus x square into a square plus x square raised to 1 half. So again we can write this equation in the another form. B is equal to mu naught I a square divided by 2 into a square plus x square into 3 raised to 4, 3 raised to 2. If okay, here mu naught I a sin phi are the constant, only dl integration dl is equal to 2 pi a, and r and sin phi are the replaced with measurable and the constant values. So in this case there is the sum of the special cases. Okay, now we discuss what are the some special cases. So in the first case, at the certain at the center O, x is equal to 0. At the center O, x is equal to 0. So therefore B is equal to mu naught into I divided by 2a. In the second point, if the observation point is far away from the coil, then a is less than x, so a square can be neglected in comparison with x square. So therefore B is equal to mu naught I a square divided by 2x cube. So different views of direction of current and magnetic field due to the circular loop of coil. So this see here there is the figure, there is one circular loop, coil, magnetic, two magnetic dipoles. Okay, in the other case we consider different observable point. So okay, the second point, if your magnetic, if we find out the magnetic field at the center of the loop, suppose this is the center of the loop, at that point what is the magnetic field, or how was the magnetic field कैसे ऐसे. So in this case we see what is the magnetic field at the center of the loop. Suppose this is the considered circular loop, and this is the current element, first element, second element, and these two are opposite to each other, and a is the radius of that loop or the circle. So now this is the current loop. So loop and the current element and the your radius vector are perpendicular to each other, so there is the 90-degree angle between these two. So how much the magnetic field at point the center O? So the plane of the coil is lying on the plane of the diagram and the direction of current is clockwise, such that the direction of magnetic field is perpendicular and into the plane. So dB is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi I into dl sin theta divided by a square So dB is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi into I dl divided by a square. The angle theta between dl and a is 90-degree because the radius of the loop is very small, and since sin 90-degree is equal to 1, so b is equal to b integration db is equal to integration mu naught divided by 4 pi into I dl divided by a square. So b is equal to mu naught into I divided by 2a. So mu naught I a are the constant, and integration dl is equal to 2 pi a. 2 pi a is the circumference of the circle. So see here in the picture, radius versus magnetic field. So now we find out the magnetic field due to the solenoid. Suppose this is the solenoid, means there is the helical coil. So n number of turns, magnetic lines, and the magnetic field. So here there is the two poles, south pole and the north pole. Two poles, south pole and the north pole. So again here, when we look at any end of the coil carrying current, if the current is in anti-clockwise direction, then that end of coil behaves like a north pole, and if the current is in clockwise direction, then that end of the coil behaves like a south pole. So now we discuss the second part of this today's presentation, that is the Lorentz magnetic force. How was the Lorentz magnetic force? Lorentz magnetic force क्या है? Suppose consider a point charge Q, and from this charge there is the magnetic field V bar, and here there is the velocity V, current I. In between this there is the angle phi, and your force is also perpendicular to the current magnetic field. So a current carrying conductor placed in the magnetic field experiences a force. करंट कॅरिंग करणारा एखादा जर कंडक्टर आपण मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड मध्ये ठेवला तर तिथं फोर्स क्रिएट होतो, which means that a moving charge in magnetic field experiences a force. जो चार्ज मूव्ह होतो याच्यामध्ये, त्याच्यामध्ये आपल्याला मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड एक्सपिरियन्स होतो, फोर्स होतो. सो magnetic force is equal to Fm is equal to Q charge into V into B bar. So in this equation, Fm is the magnetic force, this is the vector quantity, is equal to Q charge, so this is the charge, into V velocity, into cross B bar, this is the magnetic field. Or we can write this equation in the another form. Fm is equal to magnetic force is equal to QVB sin theta into n cap. N cap is the unit vector. So where theta is the angle between V and B, that is the angle between the velocity and the magnetic field. So now in this again here in the Lorentz magnetic force, there is the some of the special cases. What is the first case? If charge is at rest, that is the V is equal to 0. In the first case, जर का तुमचा चार्ज हा 0 वेलोसिटीला असेल, म्हणजे चार्जची मोशनच होत नाही, तो रेस्टला असेल, then your magnetic force also 0. So the stationary charge in the magnetic field does not experience any force. जर का एखाद्या मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड मध्ये जर तुमचा चार्ज हा रेस्टला असेल तर तिथं तो कोणताही फोर्स क्रिएट करत नाहीये. In the second case, if theta is equal to 0 degree or the 180 degree, जर का आपण V आणि B मधला जर थीटा हा 0 डिग्री घेतला किंवा 180 डिग्री घेतला तर काय होईल, then that is if the charge moves parallel or anti-parallel to the direction of the magnetic field, then Fm is equal to 0. Then again your magnetic force is equal to 0. Means when your charge is at rest, that is V is equal to 0, then your magnetic force is 0. If the angle between the velocity v and the magnetic field v is the 0 degree or the 180 degree, in that case also your magnetic force is 0. Okay, if we go to the third case, then if your theta is equal to 90 degree, that is the perpendicular, that is if the charge moves perpendicular to the magnetic field, then the force is maximum. See, in the second case, if this is the magnetic field and in the downward direction your force, if your theta is 90 degree, V and B, in between this V and B there is the 90 degree angle, then your force is maximum. Then force max, Fm, magnetic force maximum, is equal to QVB, charge, velocity and the magnetic field. So now we discuss about the what is the Fleming's left hand rule. If we see the Fleming's left hand rule, so this is the Fleming's left hand rule. Your thumb indicates the direction of the force, forefinger indicates the direction of the magnetic field, and your middle finger indicates the direction of the electric current. So what is the statement of the Fleming's left hand rule? Fleming's left hand rule साठी तुमचं स्टेटमेंट काय असेल? What is the statement for the Fleming's left hand rule? Sorry. So if the central finger, forefinger and the thumb of left hand are stretched mutually perpendicular to each other and the central finger points to current, forefinger points to magnetic field, and then thumb points to the direction of the motion, that is the force on the current carrying conductor. So as per the Fleming's left hand rule, suppose this is the Fleming's left hand rule. As per this Fleming's left hand rule, so this is the arrangement. These all the three fingers are perpendicular to each other. So this is the middle finger, forefinger, and this is the thumb. Your thumb indicates the direction of the force. This force perpendicular to both of the other terms, that is the magnetic field and the current. So your this forefinger indicates the direction of the magnetic field, and this magnetic field perpendicular to the current and the both the current and the force. So this middle finger indicates the direction of the current, So this is the Fleming's left hand rule. So here one tip, the remember the press EMF to present electric current, magnetic field and the force in anti-clockwise direction of the fingers of left hand. So force on moving charge in uniform electric and the magnetic fields. तुमच्या जेव्हा फोर्स कुठं मुव्हिंग चार्ज असेल, जेव्हा कधी युनिफॉर्म इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड आणि मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड मध्ये असेल तेव्हा तुमचा फोर्स काय असेल, त्याच्यावरती तो चार्ज वरती मुव्हिंग चार्ज वरती काय असेल तुमचा फोर्स. व्हेन अ चार्ज q moves with velocity v in a region in which both electric field E bar and magnetic field B bar exist, then the Lorentz force is F bar is equal to QE bar. QE is the electric field plus Q into V bar into B bar. This is the magnetic field. So, or F is equal to Q into E plus V bar into B bar. हा तुमचा फोर्स झाला, मुव्हिंग चार्जचा. कधी? जेव्हा तुमच्याकडे युनिफॉर्म इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड असेल आणि युनिफॉर्म मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड असेल तेव्हा. So now the force on the current carrying conductor in a uniform magnetic field. So see here, there is the one uniform magnetic field. So this is the, in this direction there is the uniform magnetic field. In this uniform magnetic field there is the current carrying conductor. The length of that current carrying conductor is your L length L. So in this direction there is the flow of the current A, B. So this is the Vd is the drift velocity, dl is the current element, and F is the force. Your current I, magnetic field B, and the force, these three terms are perpendicular to each other. So how was the force in this condition? So force experienced by each electron in the conductor is F bar is equal to minus E into Vd bar into B bar. So where Vd is the drift velocity, Vd is the drift velocity, and E is the electron. On the electron there is the negative charge, so this sign indicates the negative charge. So if N be the number of density of electrons, A be the area of cross section of the conductor, then the number of electrons in the element dl is NaDl. So force experienced by the electrons in dl is df bar is equal to NaDl into minus EVd bar into B bar is equal to minus NeAVd into dl bar into B bar. So this term NeAVd is nothing but a current. So df bar is equal to I into dl bar into B bar. So where I is equal to NeAVd, N number of terms, E concentration of electrons, A is the area of cross section area, and Vd is the drift velocity. And negative sign represents the direction of dl is opposite to that of the average drift velocity, that is the Vd. So force F is equal to integration df bar is equal to integration I into dl bar into B bar, I into dl bar into B bar. So F bar is equal to I into L bar into B bar, or F is equal to IL B sin theta. So now we discuss another one point, the forces between two parallel infinitely long current carrying conductors. We take a infinitely two long current carrying conductors. Suppose this is the first and this is the second. From the first current I1, from the second there is the current I2. A radius R, we can find the magnetic field on the first due to the second. So magnetic field on right side due to the current in PQ. Okay, he not a right side, sorry. Magnetic field on RS, या RS लाइन वरती या कंडक्टर वरती या B1 वरती magnetic field किती असेल due to the first wire PQ मुळे. So B1 is equal to mu naught divided by 2 pi into I1 divided by R. Same opposite in the other case. Force acting on RS due to the current I2 through it is force on the second due to the first is equal to mu naught divided by 2 pi into I1 divided by R. So is equal to into I2 L sin 90 degree. Or we can write F21 is equal to mu naught I1 I2 L divided by 2 pi R. So the B1 acts perpendicular and into the plane of the diagram by right hand thumb rule. So the angle between I current and B1 considering point magnetic field is 90 degree. So L is the length of the conductor. So in the second case, on the second point also same, B2 is equal to mu naught divided by 2 pi into I2 divided by R. As per discussed in the first case, there is the same on the opposite second case, but there is the opposite directions. So force per unit length of the conductor is F divided by L. Force per unit length. So F divided by L is equal to mu naught divided by 2 pi into I1 into I2 divided by R. So unit of unit for this Newton per meter. By Fleming's left hand rule, the conductor experiences the force towards the each other, and hence attract each other. See here, in this case, there is the attraction to each other. By Fleming's left hand rule, the conductor experiences force always from each other, and hence repel each other. Repel each other. So, what is the definition of the ampere? Now we discuss the new point, ampere. What is the definition of ampere? The force per unit length of the conductor is F divided by L is equal to mu naught divided by 2 pi into I1 into I2 divided by R Newton per meter. So when I1 is equal to I2 is equal to 1 ampere, because of here we define the per unit length. एका definition of ampere definition per unit हे करतो आपण. So I1 is equal to I2 is equal to 1 ampere and R is equal to 1, the distance between the two wires or the two conductors, 1 meter. Then F is equal to 2 into 10 raised to minus 7 Newton per meter. 1 ampere is that the current which, if passed in each of two parallel conductors of infinite length and placed 1 meter apart in vacuum, causes each conductor to experience a force of 2 into 10 raised to 7 Newton per meter of length of the conductor. So representation of field due to the parallel current. So see here, there is the parallel currents, then there is the representation of the current. So now we discuss about the torque experienced by a current loop for the rectangular in a uniform magnetic field. What is meant by the torque? How we define the torque? Torque is a measure of force, and this force is around the axis. Then we can see, yes, there is the torque. So here one current loop rectangular, in this case there is the torque. Let theta be the angle between the plane of the loop and the direction of the magnetic field. The axis of the coil is perpendicular to the magnetic field. So the F bar SP is equal to I into B bar into small b bar into capital B bar. So mod of F SP is equal to I B sine theta. So FQR bar is equal to I into B into capital B bar. So modulus of FQR is equal to IB sine theta. So forces F bar SP and the force F bar QR are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction, and they cancel out each other. So moreover, they act along the same line of action, that is on the axis, and hence do not produce torque. Do not produce torque. If we take a coil, then this is the equation for the torque. Tau is equal to IAB cos theta. If A is equal to LB, then tau is equal to NIAB cos theta, where N is the number of turns. If phi is the angle between the normal to the coil and the direction of the magnetic field, then phi plus theta is equal to 90 degree. That is, theta is equal to 90 minus phi. So tau is equal to IAB cos 90 minus phi, that is tau is equal to NIAB sin phi. So here is the one most important note. One must be very careful in using the formula in terms of cos or sin, since it depends on the angle taken, whether with the plane of the coil or the normal of the coil. So now torque in a vector form, we can write the torque in the vector form. So in the scalar form, tau is equal to NIAB sin theta. In the vector form, tau bar is equal to NIAB sin theta into n cap, where n cap is the unit vector normal to the plane of the loop. So tau is equal to NI A bar into B bar, or tau bar is equal to M bar into B bar, where M bar is equal to Ia is the magnetic dipole moment. So here there is the most important notes. First, the coil will rotate in the anti-clockwise direction about the axis of the coil shows by the dotted lines. The torque acts in the upward direction along the dotted lines. If phi is equal to 0 degree, then your tau is equal to 0. If phi is equal to 90 degree, then your tau is the maximum and tau max is equal to NIAB. So unit of B is the Tesla or I is the ampere or A in meter square, area in meter square, or and tau in Newton meter. So the above formulae for torque can be used for any loop irrespective of its shape. So now we see here the moving coil or suspended coil or the here there is the galvanometer. So this is not very important. So here just the for the torque and the restoring torque is the very important in this case. So this is the radial magnetic field. What is the radial magnetic field? In the radial magnetic field, the top plane of the coil PQRS, see in the figure PQRS, lies along the magnetic lines of the force in the whichever the position of the coil comes to rest in the equilibrium. So the angle between the plane of the coil and the magnetic field is 0 degree, or the angle between the normal to the plane of the coil and the magnetic field is 90 degree. So sin theta phi is equal to sin 90 is equal to 1. So I is equal to k divided by NAB alpha, or I is equal to G alpha, where G is equal to K divided by NAB is called the galvanometer constant. So current sensitivity of the galvanometer is, it is the deflection of galvanometer per unit current. So alpha divided by I is equal to NAB divided by K. Or the voltage sensitive of galvanometer, it is the deflection of galvanometer per unit voltage. So alpha divided by V is equal to NAB divided by KR. So there is the conversion of galvanometer into the ammeter. So in this case there is the somewhat changes in the instrument. Then if we convert the galvanometer to the ammeter, then galvanometer can be converted into the ammeter by shutting it with a very small resistance. So potential difference across the galvanometer and the shunt resistance are equal. So I minus Ig into S is equal to IgG, or the S is equal to shunt resistance, S is equal to Ig into capital G divided by I minus Ig. So if we convert the galvanometer to the voltmeter, then galvanometer can be converted into the voltmeter by connecting it with a very high resistance. So potential difference across the given load resistance is the sum of potential difference across galvanometer and the potential difference across the high resistance, that is the therefore V is equal to Ig into G plus R, or the R is equal to V divided by Ig minus G. So here there is the difference between the ammeter and the voltmeter. So in case of the ammeter, first it is a low resistance instrument. Voltmeter, it is a high resistance instrument. That is, in the ammeter there is the very low resistance, but in case of the voltmeter there is the very high resistance. So resistance in the second comparative, resistance is Gs divided by G plus S, but in case of the voltmeter, resistance is G plus R. So shunt resistance is Gig divided by I minus Ig is very small. In the series resistance is V divided by Ig minus G is a very high. The fourth comparative or the fourth difference, it is always connected in series. Your ammeters are always connected in the series, but in the voltmeter, these voltmeters are always connected in the parallel. So in case of ammeter, resistance of an ideal ammeter is 0. But in case of voltmeter, the resistance of an ideal voltmeter is infinity. So in case of ammeter, its resistance is less than that of the galvanometer. But in case of voltmeter, its resistance is greater than that of the voltmeter. And the last comparative or the last difference in between the ammeter and the voltmeter is, it is not possible to decrease the range of a given ammeter. but it is possible to decrease the range of the given voltmeter. So thank you one and all.